was reflecting back earlier today, anticipating that we might have a vote today, and I remembered that the first time that I became aware of the cap and invest model was in 2015. Some neighbors had formed an organization sort of descriptively called Hair on Fire to try to figure out what the heck that we could do about climate. And when we searched what was going on in the Oregon legislature, we found what was then House Bill 3470. Some of you voted on that in committee, I realized, looking back at the record. And we thought, wow, what a great, elegant, smart, market-based approach to trying to take some sort of climate action. We were engaged in climate because even 5 years ago, we realized that Southern Oregon was on the front line of climate change. We could see that in front of our faces in the form of turbulent storms and snowpacks that weren't there anymore and constant drought. And more recently, specifically wildfire. I think it's important to note that even at this point in this year, we have already seen 130 fires on ODF protected lands in Oregon, and that's something that should scare the heck out of all of us. But 5 years ago, I mean, we were certainly not the first people to come to this issue, but I would call us zealots at that point. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a tipping point as people have come to understand the crisis that is in front of us. The impacts have accelerated, they are compounding. And as we see that happening, we realize that the timeline that's available to us by many forecasts is much shorter than we thought it was even 5 years ago, with many people saying we really have 10 years to take, in which we can take significant action to try to change this curve. Clearly, climate, the disintegrating environment that we are in, is the existential crisis in front of all of us. So we come to the bill today, which I think sets out certainly a complex system, one that will need much more guidance as we go ahead, but one that really enables us to make some smart investments to really, in terms of my community, to help us begin to address and mitigate the impacts that we are already dealing with, to try to hold them in check. And I am feeling at this moment extremely honored and grateful to be able to take this vote today. But I want to note our action here in Oregon should not be interpreted in any way as a statement about national action, because we really need our national government to step up. We are moving forward in spite of inaction on that level. But what we need is action on that level, and we need action. We need the action to continue on the international level. And I hope our friends beyond our national borders will be able to look at the actions we're taking on here in Oregon and say, okay, despite the fact that we're just not seeing federal action on this right now, or a whole lot of interest from those who are in charge, in some places in the United States, people get it, and they are willing to take significant changes in policy. They are really willing to work this issue because they understand it's a short timeline, folks. So I will be grateful, happy, and a little spurt of joy to take this yes vote.
Representative Bossart-Davis.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I would like to repeat what many of us said up here, and that's thank you to the process.